This journey sounded very familiar, and I loved hearing how Laura's entrepreneurship journey progressed over time. There are some great golden nuggets in here if you're interested in becoming a certified health coach, as well as smart business ideas. Plus, Laura shared the behind the scenes on running a subscription box business as well. Laura Morrow has been featured on CBS, Great Day Washington, and in Paleo Magazine and the Washington Magazine. After suffering from fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, and chronic headaches, migraines, she reversed her autoimmune systems by changing her diet and lifestyle. As a nutritional therapy practitioner and AIP certified coach, she is passionate about helping other women in their journey to better their health. This is the Your Money, Your Life podcast where ambitious women This is the Your Money, Your Life podcast where ambitious women come together to have clarity, prosperity, and confidence with their money without sacrificing precious time and well-deserved fun. So let's do this. Welcome, Laura, to the Money Magnifier Toolkit series and the Your Money, Your Life podcast. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me on.
Absolutely. So I always like to start off. The podcast is called Your Money, Your Life. So what does your money, your life mean to you?
It means freedom. Ever since I was in my 20s, and I guess even before that, my parents were entrepreneurs, and I saw my mom be able to go on field trips with me. She was able to, be there for the class parties. And I just always thought that was amazing. And then when I started working in the corporate world in marketing, I saw that that would never be a possibility in that kind of job. And I realized really quickly that it was not the kind of life I wanted, even though I didn't have a family yet. And so when I was 25 years old, I quit the corporate world and got started in an MLM and just took off having money freedom and time freedom from there. Now, that's not what I'm still doing, but that is how I got started with that concept.
I love it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do now, and I guess maybe about the transition from that network marketing career to where you're at now and the nutritional therapy industry.
Yeah, perfect. So in 2015, I had my second son. And at the time, I was a senior director for my MLM that I was in, a skincare and cosmetics company. I was doing like all the things, volunteering, all that kind of stuff. I was very active. And but once I had him, I started experiencing a lot of symptoms, and it started out with just like fatigue, feeling bad after you have kids, especially your second, when you expect that you're going to feel not so great after a while, right? But I started getting pains, which didn't feel normal. It started in my feet. I started getting pains in my hands. They were starting to get kind of swollen. And then one day when I woke up with tingling up and down my arms and could barely get out of bed, like literally, I was just like, this is not normal. And I started Googling my symptoms, and the words autoimmune kept coming up, which I was just like, oh my God, like I honestly don't even know what that means. It was terrifying. I scheduled an appointment with my doctor right away. They did the blood work, and fortunately / unfortunately, it came up that everything was fine. The problem with that is that meant that there was nothing that they could do for me. And I was sitting here at the time, I was still in my 30s, and walking up one flight of stairs was very difficult. Now, keep in mind, during my pregnancy, I had been going to the gym for 5+ days a week, all the way up until the day I went into labor. So it was not an issue of, I was just sitting on the couch doing nothing and all this kind of stuff. I should have been a healthy person. And I just did not accept that answer, that there was nothing that could be done. And Luckily, it was my chiropractor who recommended changing my diet and making some lifestyle changes. And after just a few weeks, my mobility got so much better. I started finally losing the baby weight. My headaches went away. I didn't even realize that was a symptom. I'd had daily headaches for so long. I just thought that was a part of life. And I had so much energy that I was able to start a second business. And I was like, I want to share the world, like all these women that are suffering, that there is something that you can do. So that is what started my journey. My original business with autoimmune was with a subscription box. And so I sent women anti-inflammatory products every month. So food, natural food products and natural beauty products. Because my whole thing was like, I just want to make it easy for other people to make this transition. So that's how I got started. And now I am working one-on-one with private clients as a nutritional therapist.
I love it. So many like fun little nuggets in there. I love chiropractor. Like my chiropractor has been, or I guess chiropractors over the years has really opened my eyes to so many different things that we have been kind of taught that are normal and they're not actually normal. So shout out to the chiropractors that are willing to speak out and do that, and realizing and acknowledging like that it doesn't have to be the way that everyone like it's not normal. That's actually a conversation I was having like 90 minutes ago on my group program. We were doing a live coaching call and talking about like some of these things that we've been taught are normal really aren't normal, and like being the voice and speaking that out is so powerful. So thank you for doing that, first of all.
Yeah, you're welcome. And something I like to say to women is that even if it's common, it doesn't mean it's normal.
Us.
And even if it's normal, it doesn't mean that it's optimal either. And so that is something that that I help my clients is how to get to your optimal health.
And that's a big distinction there. It
Yeah.
makes a big difference. And I can definitely, like, this is a different aspect, but I can attest to that, even like speaking from the pregnancy. So we're currently like 6 months pregnant. This is my 5th pregnancy. Technically, we have a miscarriage in there, but this is the healthiest that I've been to date. And this is the best pregnancy that I've had to date, like with morning sickness and a lot of the things that we experience, even like as pregnancy symptoms, like it doesn't, when you function at a different level, like there are things that are possible that we didn't think were possible. So, obviously you kind of like fell into this because it was your personal story. And I think that is, really powerful in the fact that like you had gone in that. So what were some of the initial costs like getting started? And we can speak to like the different aspects if you want to, because I know the subscription box can be a very enticing idea. I'm betting there's a lot of work behind that, like processing everything. But why don't you speak to some of those like initial costs getting started?
Yeah, I will. So subscription boxes, there's a lot of great things about them. I will tell you, it was really fun. I had my box for 3.5 years, and I really loved putting it together. I have to say, it was a fantastic box. It was really well thought out, curated, all that kind of great stuff. And the costs were really high to do a subscription box. So it sounds great in theory. I know a lot of people who just try to start it up on a shoestring, and, there are the success stories out there with that. However, to really get your best wholesale pricing on products, you've got to be ordering hundreds of the same product every month. And we're talking, boxes usually have like 6 to 8 products in them. So that's thousands of potentially products just to get at a wholesale price. And so it's really hard to get hundreds of subscribers when you first launch your business. And so a lot of people start with their boxes, just even buying the products at retail, which means they're taking a loss. So that's something, if that's a kind of business that you're looking at, I mean, it can be done, but it takes a lot of resources to get started. Plus the expense of the boxes, the expense of shipping. A lot of people want free shipping, which shipping isn't free. It's very expensive these days. So it's hard to bake that into the cost of the box, especially if you're not getting really good wholesale pricing. So those are a couple of the issues. I mean, that being said, it was going really great until COVID hit, when we started having all the supply issues and postage started skyrocketing again, too. So those are a couple things that, if that is the kind of business somebody is thinking about, like, really explore hard whether that is the kind of costs that you can have. And even just a few other things, like the marketing costs, like to get hundreds or thousands of subscribers is pretty high. But I know some people who are really successful at it too. But it also, it's every month. You're basically marketing you're marketing a different product every single month. Yes, it's the same box, but all those products change over. So you're constantly like creating and marketing a new product month after month after month. And so the first few months, it's really fun to curate those boxes. But then after a little while, you're like, what else can I put in a box to go with this theme? So those are just a few things. So what happened with me is that my subscribers started asking me all these questions about like what I was personally doing, to help my autoimmune symptoms, and like what diet was I on, like what was I following, whatever. And I started kind of trying to answer those questions, kind of started some groups, but I wasn't certified. And so I could only say so much. I could only say my personal experience, but I couldn't help them with their individual, specific issues. And so after a couple of years of this, I was like, you know what? I think I can make an even deeper impact on women if I can personally help them and privately coach them. So that's why I decided to make the transition between the box to coaching. So I did both for about 6 months. And once I got certified and once I started the coaching, and that took off really quickly, I was like, this is what I want to do. This is exactly what I was really hoping with, is to make this deep impact.
I love that. And now with the subscription box, were you like a one-woman show? Were you doing everything yourself there, or did you have a team like helping you with something?
I had a small team.
Okay.
Because I did, even my first month, start with 125 subscribers.
Wow, that's good.
Thank you, which is a lot of boxes. So I did have a part-time assistant that worked about 10 hours a week with me originally. And then when I got up to about, I think, 250 to 300 subscribers, I hired somebody else part-time just to do the shipping, like the packaging of the boxes and the shipping part, because it was just hundreds of boxes that have to go out in like 3 days is a lot to do. And then I ended up hiring, when I got over 400 boxes, I had to outsource the shipping, the packaging and the shipping. So yeah, I did have at least a part-time person from the very beginning.
Okay. That is good to know. I like the transition, feels very familiar, because I started my entrepreneurial journey in network marketing as well. And I learned a lot in that company, and we were focused on the finances, but I left that company to start my own financial coaching company, because so many of the ladies that I wanted to work with were entrepreneurs themselves or in network marketing and et cetera. And there was almost like a friction there, that they felt like they would be poached or something, which is totally not like me in my heart at all. But there was a little bit of friction there with that. And I really wanted to build my own strategy. So similar type thing, like, okay, no, this is really what I wanted to do. And then I launched my own company, which led
Yeah.
us to where we're at now. So getting certified, what were the costs like for that? Because I know that can greatly vary. And if somebody's in the health and wellness space, that can be a very important tool to start out with, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. So the I chose to get my certification through the Nutritional Therapy Association, which I love their approach. It's really about the like whole foods first, getting your nutrition through there. And it really goes back to a lot of like ancestral practices that people have been doing over the centuries. So I just loved their approach. There are other um, places that you can go through as well to get certified. Theirs was a 10-month course. And it is very intense, which actually held me back for a little while. But 10 months goes by pretty fast. From what I've seen out there, most of the certifications are about around $5,000 to $7,000 for anywhere from like a 6-month to a year-long program. But very, very well worth the knowledge that you get. In fact, I knew it was going to be amazing, but I was still shocked at how much value I got out of it, and how well I was prepared at the end. But that is something to keep in mind.
Definitely. Okay, so where you got certified, are there any other legal requirements that you would want somebody to make sure that they're being aware of? Obviously, they need to consult with local attorneys, etc. But just kind of from a 30,000-foot view, this is something that I needed to be aware of.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And so some people do try to do health coaching without any kind of certification. And that's really risky because, I mean, like you're talking about people's health. And so even though you can say like your experience, that doesn't mean that you really know a lot about like the science behind everything. So I really feel that that's super important. But the other thing is that there are a lot of legal requirements out there, and so it is really risky legally as well if you try to do that without any kind of certification. The other thing is all of the states get to pass their own laws about nutrition coaching as well, so that there are some states that are called green states, which I happen to be in Virginia, that allow you to do like private one-on-one coaching and allow you to do a lot of things. There are other states, which we call red states, that are very restrictive and sometimes don't even allow nutritional therapy, or only allow you to work with groups and not privately one-on-one, or only allow you to give very general information. So that is something to look at, because I have known people who went through the whole certification program and then found out at the end that their state restricted what they wanted to do. So that's something that you can look up on the internet and find out. Like you can like Google nutritional therapy red and green states, and like a map will come up and you can see what laws are. So that's definitely, check that out before you start down that road.
Start there first. That's really
Yes.
good to know.
Start there first. Yeah.
So why don't you tell us where our listeners can connect with you online? And then I know you run the detox program quarterly. So depending on when you're watching or listening to this, like we'll give them information on how they can check out the upcoming detox program.
Perfect. Yes. So you can find everything on lauramorrow.com, and that's LAURAMORROW. I also have Laura Morrow Wellness page on Facebook, and on Instagram, it's at Laura Morrow Wellness. And what I do is I help women reverse symptoms of autoimmune disease. And that is whether you have a diagnosis and you still don't quite feel right, or whether you've been having autoimmune symptoms. And those symptoms include things like fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, digestive issues, headaches and migraines, um, trouble losing weight, and hormone imbalances. So if you're having several of those things and you're just feeling like things aren't really right, then that is when you can get in touch with me. We can just talk about it and see what your challenges are, what your struggles are, and then I can just present a plan to you of how I work with my clients and how I could specifically work with you. So if you go to my website, lauramorrow.com, there is a place where you can book a call with me. Those are totally free. And I just love talking with women and just seeing, how I might be able to help, or just like recommendations that I can make. If it's not something that fits into my scope of practice, I can point them in the right direction.
Absolutely. And I will make sure all the links are below the video or in the show notes on the podcast, depending on where y'all are checking that out. So make sure to go connect with Laura, and we'll see you next time, guys. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the Your Money, Your Life podcast. Wondering what's next? When you're ready, there are different levels of support that you can use on the path to creating unstoppable finances and your unstoppable life. After all, your finances are unique and your support should be too. Ultimately, we'll create a customized plan to ditch financial struggle for good that works for you, your goals, your priorities, your life. Go to workwithaimee.com to get started with one of our most popular programs, or you can book a Q&A call with me and we'll figure out what your next step should be.